My husband, 32-year-old male, thinks his anger is completely justified and blames all of our relationship issues on me, 33-year-old female. My marriage with my husband is still pretty new. We've only been married for a year and 4 months and only known each other for 2 years. It was a bit of a whirlwind, with outside life circumstances driving us to take the leap to marriage. However, once married, my husband's anger has spiraled out of control. He throws things, will repeatedly call me stupid and other names, berate me in public, and storm off and leave me alone in public. The 2 worst occasions both happened in the airport. The first time was when we were going through TSA. It was crowded and he had many trays worth of stuff, and I was already through and repacked. My intention was to help him out by taking his laptop and iPad and meet him over by the benches to get repacked. As soon as I grabbed his things, he started berating me. "What are you doing?" "I'm just trying to help you." Put my laptop down. Once I put it down, he berates me again. "Where are you going?" "I'm trying to get out of the way." "Why are you yelling at me?" He continues on, ends up kicking my suitcase. A TSA agent is trying to get by, and he scolds me when I try to make room for him. Once he gets all his things, he sits at the bench and gathers up all my things that he carries, my passport/keys/ etc., throws them at me. Says he wants no responsibility over me, when he is the one who insists on carrying my stuff, that I'm stupid and unreasonable and careless. He storms off to the lounge, leaving me alone. He almost misses our flight. I had to message him the plane was boarding, and he got there 5 minutes before the gates closed. It took me a month to get the courage to ask him why he got so angry at me. He finally told me that I was holding his laptop inappropriately, that someone could have bumped into me and broken it. He never indicated that during the fight, and I don't think I was holding it in a dangerous way. He went on stating that his laptop is his life and his career, and how dare I disrespect something that means so much to him. I told him that his response was beyond out of control, that even if it got broken, it's replaceable. We never resolved that fight. The second time was after we landed in his native country. It was late and I didn't sleep at all on the flight. I needed to get a train ticket to the hotel. I asked him to get one for me, and he replies, "I don't know how." Keep in mind this is his native country, where he lived for over 20 years. I don't have any country-specific money, do you? He hands me a mesh pouch that clearly has US bills in it, but visually no currency from his native country. I need X. This is all US money. He immediately launches into a tirade. "Are you stupid?" I look again and only see US bills. "This looks like only US bills." "You're effing stupid. What is wrong with you?" I look again and notice another pocket. I open that up and find some tightly folded bills from his country. I apologize. I didn't see the money and go and retrieve my ticket. When I get back, I apologize again, recognize that I made him feel belittled by doubting him. All techniques I've been taught to do in these situations by our marriage counselor. He goes, "I don't fin care, you're stupid," and berates me again and again in the middle of the airport. I ask him to calm it down, be mad, but don't berate me, and let's just get to the hotel. He continues some more until he just starts leaving. He's walking in the opposite direction of the platform we discussed before the flight. And when I point that out, he starts in again. "You think you know the transportation system better than someone native to here? You think you're that superior? Fine, take your own superior way to the hotel." At this point, I'm dumbfounded, confused, embarrassed, humiliated. And I also realize I have no working internet on my phone. Husband planned the trip but forgot that detail. And he also has my passport. I rush after him because I have no way to navigate to the hotel. I have 2 suitcases while he only has 1. Plus, I'm still recovering from a broken leg. I was able to tail him and got to the hotel safely, but he didn't look or speak to me the rest of the night. The next morning, he tried to apologize, but I'm still fuming. I would never dare to leave my spouse like that. He didn't even think about the fact that I have no way to easily contact him and that he had my passport. Because we were having lunch with his family, it got dropped. Last night, I finally got the opportunity to talk to him about the incident. I told him how scared I was, how I felt disrespected, that no matter how angry I am at him, I would never leave him behind. His argument was that if I didn't belittle him, he would have never gotten angry. I asked him if he would do it again. He said yes because he needed to take a break away from me. I reminded him that I didn't have the tools necessary to navigate the area. He said he would give me my passport and a pocket Wi-Fi, and so logically I would be safe and he would leave me to navigate alone. I told him that I still found his solution disrespectful and sad towards his wife, and he told me he has a right to deal with his anger as he sees fit. We left the conversation on that note. I also asked him if he thinks his anger response is normal. He said he thinks it is because I'm the only person he's ever gotten this kind of angry at. That if I would fix my trauma, emotionally hurtful and neglectful childhood, then I wouldn't trigger his anger. Anytime I try to talk about something that bothers me in the relationship, he tells me my thinking is warped and it relates back to my trauma. I know I need to work on that aspect, but I don't think it's fair to say that I'm the sole reason for his anger or that none of my relationship concerns are valid. I think his behavior is borderline hurtful, but he always seems to logic everything back into being a problem around my trauma. I just need a sanity check that this behavior is not okay, right? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I just want to validate for you that the way he is speaking to you and treating you is not normal and not okay. There is nothing that you've done or that you could do that would justify his behavior. If you were such a problem like he claims you are, he would absolutely have the right to end the relationship. But he hasn't chosen that. He's chosen to stay with you and mistreat you. That makes it clear that the problem is with him and the choices he's made to repeatedly abuse you. It's not you. Comment 2. I think his behavior is hurtful. It's not borderline. It is hurtful. I think you know that. It's time to protect yourself by removing yourself from his presence and his control. Don't be fooled by kindness and words of reconciliation. I'm sure he's capable of sounding convincingly remorseful and intent on changing, but the angry man who used your trauma against you is the one pulling the strings. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around to hear more about what's been going on. So, a lot has happened since the last time I talked about my husband and his anger issues. Just when I thought things couldn't get more intense, they did. Last week that we were at a friend's dinner party, and he got into an argument with one of the guests. It was about politics, something we should have steered clear of. But before I knew it, voices were raised. He stormed out, leaving me to apologize for his behavior. It was mortifying. Back home, the silence was thick. I tried to talk to him, but he just brushed me off. The next day, he acted like nothing happened. But I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were sitting on a ticking time bomb. Then, 2 days ago, I found something that made my heart sink. I was looking for our tax documents and stumbled upon a bank statement that didn't make sense. There was a huge withdrawal from our savings account, one I knew nothing about. Confronting him about it was tough, but I had to know where that money went. He confessed that he'd been gambling. It started small, he said, just a way to blow off steam. But it had spiraled out of control. And now we were in serious debt. I was shocked. The secret hit me like a ton of bricks. It wasn't just his anger anymore, it was this betrayal too. I felt trapped. On one hand, I wanted to help him through this addiction, but on the other, I was furious and scared for our future. The trust I had in him was shattered. I had to make a choice. Stay and fight for our marriage, or walk away from a man who was becoming a stranger to me. I spent a sleepless night trying to decide what to do. The next morning, I told him we needed professional help. He agreed, but only if I promised not to tell anyone about his gambling. It was a hard pill to swallow, keeping the secret from our families and friends, but I agreed. We started looking for a therapist who specialized in gambling addiction. Meanwhile, I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. I started to think about all the times he'd been late or canceled plans last minute. It all made sense now. The lies, the secrecy, it was all because of his gambling. Just yesterday, I had to cover for him again. We were supposed to meet my sister for lunch, but he bailed at the last minute, claiming he had to work. I knew it wasn't true. He was at the casino, trying to win back some of the money he'd lost. I felt so ashamed lying to my sister like that. But then, something unexpected happened. He came home early, looking defeated. He'd lost more money, and he was finally ready to admit he needed help. It was a small victory, but it felt like a turning point. We've got our first therapy session lined up for next week. I'm nervous but hopeful. It's going to be a long road ahead, but I'm willing to walk it if it means getting my husband back. the man I fell in love with. Thanks for reading. Aita for being furious. That my partner missed our son's second birthday and didn't even apologize? Throwaway, just in case. As the title says, my partner did not attend our son's second birthday yesterday, and I'm honestly so mad and upset. We have been together for about 4 years. Our son turned 2 yesterday, and for a few months, I've been planning his birthday at my mom's farm. I did have a feeling that he would pull this because he's notorious for not attending anything. But I thought surely this would be an exception. Apparently not. The morning went great, and I thought everyone was good to go. We had done presents the night before, as I knew party day would be a lot. So my partner woke up early, with my son and my daughter, 6 months, and I slept in. My partner and son were playing all morning, everyone was happy. I had a shower, and then my partner had a shower. It was 4 minutes until the planned time to leave, and he was still sitting there and not getting dressed. And I asked him, "Are you not going? Why aren't you getting dressed? What's going on?" And at this point, I honestly didn't expect him not to go. He told me he thought he was having a panic attack, and he teared up. I might have been a bit of an a-hole here, because I honestly didn't really do anything. I knew exactly where this was going, because this is his MO. I continued running around frantically getting things in the car, getting ready to leave, and he asked if he could help with anything. I asked again if he was going, and he said no. I told him to put stuff in the car. I was so incredibly angry and upset, but was already 20 minutes behind. I texted him as soon as I left and told him he still has an hour to change his mind and come. As I was going early to set up decorations, he said thanks, and that was the last I heard from him before I got home around 7 p.m. We left at 9 a.m. He didn't come, he didn't ask how it went, he reacted to my Facebook post, and that was it. When we got home, I texted him when I was nearby, asking him to get a bottle ready, which he didn't. And I could see through the windows that he had hung streamers all over the house. I mean, he went to a lot of effort, it seems, to have hung these streamers. And there were also a lot of balloons everywhere. I honestly feel like it would have been less effort for him to just attend the party. He hasn't even apologized or anything. Clearly he knows he messed up, right? I'm guessing this is why he hung streamers everywhere. He also brought our son inside and had him at the computer as he was in a game, instead of taking him straight to bed like normal, when he's asleep when we get home, which annoyed me even more. I honestly don't know what to do. I've hardly spoken to him since last night. I'm just so angry. I don't even know if he realized how mad and disappointed I am. And not to mention how embarrassing it was to repeatedly be asked where he is, or if he's working and people asking why he's not at the party. I cried most of the way to my mom's. We did have a good day, and my son had an awesome time, which is awesome. Anyway, I'm sorry this has been so long, but please give me advice. What do I do? How do I address it? Should I address it or just let it go? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's got to treat this anxiety, but it's going to be a long, hard road. It physically hurts me to leave the house and go to something out of the ordinary. I have to psych myself up to leave. Sometimes I literally vomit, but I have to get my children where they need and want to go. So I account for that when I'm scheduling our day. Wake up, eat food, get kids dressed, do their hair, vomit, deal with chest pain, brush teeth, leave the house. I was going to therapy for this, but I ran out of money, so now I just have to cope the best way I can. But the most important thing is that he's got to want to be there for his child and spouse. He's got to try to push through the discomfort. Comment 2. He needs to be sat down and have it laid out clearly that he needs to get his anxiety under control. It was one thing when it only affected him, but now he has a family and they need him to be present. In no time, your kids will have events and activities that they'll want the two of you at, and what's he going to do? Obviously, he needs more help than medication, if he's still taking it. He might not like therapy, but it sounds like he needs it. You need to decide how much of this you are willing to take if he won't get help. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around after my last post. So, here's what went down in the past 2 weeks. After the birthday fiasco, things went from bad to worse. My partner, who I'll remind you couldn't even muster the energy to attend his own son's birthday, decided to pull another stunt. He lost his job. Yep, you heard that right. He didn't show up for work, didn't call in, nothing. Just decided that day was the day he'd stop going. And the kicker? He didn't tell me for 3 days. 3 days of pretending to go to work, leaving the house, and who knows what he was actually doing. I found out when the mortgage payment bounced. Our savings drained. He'd been hiding the notices, the calls from the bank, everything. I was livid. I mean, how could he not tell me something that big? It's like he was living in his own little world, and I was just a spectator. But wait, it gets better. I confronted him, and he had the nerve to accuse me of not being supportive. Said I didn't understand the pressure he was under. Pressure? What about the pressure of keeping a roof over our heads, food on the table, and our kids happy and healthy? I had to do something. So I took a gamble. I reached out to his brother, who he's not exactly close with, and spilled everything. His brother was shocked, to say the least. He had no idea things were this bad. He came over and they had it out. Voices were raised, accusations thrown. But in the end, his brother did something I couldn't. He got through to him. My partner agreed to see a therapist. It was a start, but I wasn't about to let my guard down, not yet. Then, as if the universe hadn't thrown enough at me, my daughter got sick, really sick. Hospital, tests, the whole 9 yards. It was terrifying. And guess who stepped up? My partner. He was there every step of the way. It was like a switch had been flipped. He was attentive, caring, and I saw glimpses of the man I fell in love with. Our daughter's fine now, thank God. But those days in the hospital, they changed something in us. We talked, really talked, for the first time in what felt like forever. He opened up about his fears, his anxiety, and I listened. I didn't forgive him, not yet, but I understood a little better. We're taking it one day at a time now. He's looking for a new job, and I'm back at work too. It's not perfect, but it's a start. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like maybe, just maybe, we can get through this. Thanks for reading. Aita for insisting on bringing my boyfriend to meet my family. Despite my sister's meltdowns, my 22-year-old female, younger sister, 16-year-old female, has been pretty attached to me my whole life and has struggled to branch out in her personal social life, which has made this attachment worse. She is extremely shy with other people. But towards our family, she has a very short temper and is prone to anger outbursts. I started dating my boyfriend, 23-year-old male, about a year ago when we met in his senior year of college, and we have been long distance for the majority of our relationship. He is my first actual serious relationship, and I love him a lot, but my younger sister has been pretty much adverse to me being in a relationship the entire time. I attend college close to my hometown, so whenever I would visit home, my sister would make it so clear that she hates when I text him and hates when I FaceTime him. When we started long distance, we would try and FaceTime every other night. Once my attention couldn't be focused on her every waking second, things hurtled downhill, and she's called me a bad sister for FaceTiming him at night and for texting him throughout the day, which has been exhausting. Yet she still says that she is happy for me and likes my boyfriend. She just hates the time I spend with him. It's put a large strain on our relationship, if I'm being honest. Besides that, my parents and extended family have embraced my boyfriend with open arms, and my sister will still try and begrudgingly pretend to be pleasant with him because he really is a great guy. My friends all love him, and I'm good friends with his friends too. So now I'm home for the summer, and my family usually goes to the Philippines in July since my mom is Filipino. My boyfriend expressed wanting to come to meet my family there, and my family said yes, and my sister would just silently nod or leave the room, but I assumed she was at least tolerant of the idea. I was so incorrect. About 3 weeks ago, when my sister found out that my boyfriend bought a ticket, all hell broke loose. I'm talking like full-on tantrums. Screaming, crying, stomping, slamming doors, throwing things, throwing my things, yelling at my mom, pulling literal handfuls of her hair out, and basically just being inconsolable. She has yelled at me countless times, saying that I ruined her life and her vacation, and that I'm supposed to be going for her, not for my boyfriend. She has called me every name: a terrible sister, selfish, stupid, and idiot, and more. It has literally been on and off angry outbursts this entire month. When she finally takes some time to cool off, a notification from my boyfriend will pop up on my phone, and it starts all over again. It's been like this for the entire month of May, pretty much. She says she's angry because it was supposed to be a family vacation, but when I ask why she didn't tell me that earlier, She just tells at me that I'm the stupidest person alive for assuming that this would be okay. She also said that she needs my help socializing with our family in the Philippines, and I won't be able to do that with my boyfriend around. But I didn't even know that helping her talk was a responsibility I had. I've tried to reassure her countless times that I will spend time with her and that she can have fun in the Philippines even with him there. But she insists that she will hate it and that I ruined her entire summer. When I apologize, her only response is, "Good, I want you to feel bad." She says the only solution is to tell him not to come. But then I said I won't be going either, which sends her into a rampage. I've asked for advice from my friends with younger siblings, and even my friends who are younger siblings, and no one describes experiencing this. Has anyone dealt with this before? I've had dozens of conversations with her, but it goes nowhere. She is so angry that no conversation makes any progress. I'm so lost at what to do. Edit. Wow, thank you everyone for the responses. Some things I want to add. I have gone the ignoring route, especially in the last 2 weeks. Ever since I found out that talking leads to nowhere. It hasn't really tempered her outbursts, but it has helped me to be less involved. My dad, who is from India, never tolerates it, and he will usually discipline my sister super, telling her to get over it and to grow up. But he's out of the house most of the time for work. My mom is notorious for babying her, and it's been ridiculous. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You need to walk away or leave anytime she insults, cries, or screams. This is a parenting problem, and you're not her parent. Look your parents in the eyes and tell them straight up their refusal to handle this toxic and hurtful behavior is going to alienate you from the family eventually. They need to get their act together and discipline her, or they are going to have a very, very unpleasant few years and see much, much less of you. Do not act like her parent in any way. When she pulls this behavior, she is a stranger to you. A crazy stranger screaming on street corners. Walk away from her. Stop reassuring her. Tell her she's absolutely correct. You don't want anything to do with her if she's going to treat you this way. You don't want to socialize with her when she acts like this. You don't want to pretend to be her friend when she's not behaving in friendly ways. No one wants to spend time with someone who insults them and screams at them. He's coming. She can choose to behave like someone you'd actually want to spend time with. Or she can choose to behave like someone no one would want to spend time with. Comment 2. When I first met my husband, his sister was like this. I wasn't allowed to their house the first year of our relationship, and he had to be there for every holiday he couldn't be with me at all. At some point, he put his foot down hard. She was so used to running over everybody that when she wasn't in control anymore, she would get mad. My husband, sweetheart that he is, let me know about it, but dealt with everything himself. She needs to know that she doesn't get to be in charge anymore. You're not responsible for her life or her happiness. You get to find love. You get to move on. That's how the world works. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. A lot has happened since the last post. The tension at home has been thick enough to cut with a knife. My sister's outbursts have only escalated since my last entry. It's like walking on a tightrope every day, trying not to set her off. But the real kicker came when she did something that none of us saw coming. One evening, I was in my room and I heard a crash from the living room. Rushing out, I found my sister standing over my laptop, which was now on the floor with a cracked screen. She had thrown it in a fit of rage because she saw a notification from my boyfriend. That laptop held my college assignments, my photos, everything. I was beyond furious, but more than that, I was heartbroken at the thought of losing all my work. The next day, I took the laptop to a repair shop. The guy there, who's seen his fair share of damaged tech, just shook his head and said it would take a miracle to recover the data. I felt a knot in my stomach. This was the last straw. I knew I had to do something drastic. I sat down with my parents and laid it all out. I told them about the constant fighting, the ruined laptop, and how I felt like I was losing my sister to this anger that seemed to consume her. My dad, who's always been the voice of reason, agreed that it was time for a change. He suggested family counseling, something we'd never considered before. My mom, who's always coddled my sister, finally agreed, seeing the damage that had been done. The counseling sessions were rough at first. My sister refused to speak for the first few, sitting there with her arms crossed, scowling. But the counselor was patient, and slowly, she started to open up. She talked about feeling abandoned, about how she thought I was choosing my boyfriend over her. It was a breakthrough, hearing her voice, her insecurities. Meanwhile, my boyfriend, who's been nothing but supportive, offered to postpone his trip to the Philippines. He said he didn't want to be the cause of any more strife. I was torn. I wanted him to come, but I also wanted to mend things with my sister. As the counseling sessions continued, my sister started to change. She began to work on her anger, and I started to see glimpses of the sister I used to know. We even started to hang out more, just the two of us, like we used to. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Then, a week before the trip, my sister came to me with tears in her eyes. She apologized for breaking my laptop and for all the hurtful things she'd said. She told me she wanted my boyfriend to come on the trip. She said she realized that he made me happy and that she wanted to be happy for me too. I was stunned. It was the last thing I expected her to say. The trip to the Philippines was a turning point for us. My boyfriend was a hit with the family, and my sister even warmed up to him. She was chattier with our relatives, and I could tell she was making an effort to be more social. It was like the dark cloud that had been hanging over us had lifted. We returned home with a new sense of family unity. My sister's outbursts became less frequent, and when they did happen, she was quick to apologize. My laptop was still busted, but the data was miraculously recovered, thanks to the tech guy's persistence. Looking back, I realized that my sister's anger was a cry for help. It took a broken laptop and a lot of tough conversations to get us to a better place, but I'm grateful for where we are now. It's not perfect, but it's real, and it's ours. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.